Hello everyone. So today I want to talk about the glucose ketone ratio. Last week I did a demonstration. This week I just want to talk a bit about those numbers. So if you are doing a low carb diet, and there's a range there, you could be anywhere from low carb to keto to carnivore. All three of these are low carb diets. Even the paleo diet is certainly lower than the standard American diet. So you can really benefit from looking at these numbers. It is totally not necessary. It is not necessary. You could follow a keto food list and really eat from that list and really check and see how you're feeling. That's going to tell you a ton, and you're going to see improvements just doing that. So this is something extra. I like to do it. I like to see where I'm at with this ratio because it tells me how well I'm managing insulin. And insulin resistance is a root cause of the health problems that we're seeing today when it comes to heart disease and strokes and diabetes, prediabetes, obesity, cancer, brain health. All of these things are very much related to insulin resistance. There seems to be a common denominator there. So the goal of doing any one of these low-carb diets is to manage insulin and get out of these cycles that can really lead us into these dangerous health conditions. So low carb can be anywhere from 10 grams of carbohydrates today up to 125 carbohydrates a day. It just depends on the individual and what's working for the individual, how many health issues there are to overcome, how therapeutic you need to be, and then when you get to maintenance, it can adjust again. So it's just this variance, this range of carbohydrates that we're reining in to manage insulin. And this ratio, when you take your glucose number and divide it by your ketone number, you get a ratio that's really indicative to how well you're managing insulin. So what is a ketone? A ketone is a water-soluble, high-energy fuel source that the body will use in the absence of glucose. So it is necessary to be on a low-carbohydrate diet or to be fasting, which can also reduce carbohydrates, right? To get into a state where your body is producing ketones so that you can get this ratio. And the ratio that you get will tell you some different things that are going on in your body. So now I want to talk about Dr. Annette Bosworth. I've been watching her videos and learning from her a lot over the last year, and she used this ratio with her mother. Her mother had a very serious case of cancer. She wrote the book Any Way You Can. I highly recommend reading that if you have any interest, especially if you have interest in cancer. In this book, she tells the story of her mother, which is beautiful, but she also tells the story of monitoring insulin and using ketone strips, blood strips, and glucose blood strips to do this. Now, many people are familiar with using glucose strips, right? Diabetes has been around for a long, long time now, so it's become standard protocol in blood work to check your blood glucose. But ketones is a different story. And so this is just an opportunity. Like I said, you do not have to do this, but if you have a more serious condition, I think that's when, it could really be helpful. Or if you're just curious like me and you want to see the progress and see where you are. So I'm more in maintenance now at this point and doing little tweaks in my keto eating and just trying to see, what my ratio is doing. And I definitely have noticed that as I have become more animal-based focused, especially for my first meal of the day, I eat 2 meals a day, I've seen very good improvements in this ratio. So I just want to talk a little bit about the ratio itself, the numbers, and let you know that I will put some links to Dr. Boz explaining this too in the notes of this video for you to watch. So when you check your blood glucose, if you get to 80 or below, under 80, you can rest assured that some level of weight loss is occurring, which is great. A lot of people want to do keto or a low-carb diet, a carnivore diet for weight loss. And it's certainly the case that if you get under 80, you can have some assurance that this is happening. Now, it will vary because it depends on what else is going on in your body. If you have another condition in your body that needs some resolution, well, the weight loss may not come right away. That could take some time because the body's going to try to resolve the most dangerous issues going on in your body, and that might not be in terms of weight loss. So it's going to work on the thing that needs work the most first. It's going to prioritize how things are done. So 80 is the number you look for weight loss. I think I pretty much always get there when I check my numbers. And then the number 40. If you can get 40 or below, then you're definitely in the weight loss, but you're also working on your immune system. And this is really my goal. This is the number I'm really hoping to hit when I do my fasting and live this diet. So you can rest assured that you're improving your immune system, you're boosting your immune system. And for folks who have an autoimmune condition, this would be the goal. This is where you want to be able to hit maybe once a week. And if you watch Dr. Boz on her Instagram, you'll see her. That's where she posts her numbers and the checking of her ratio. And she gives lots of little tips and information in between there. So if you want to learn more about this, again, it's not necessary. It's just helpful. But you can follow her on Instagram and watch her and listen to what she has to say about her numbers and how that's going. You can also think of skin rejuvenation at this level too. So I love hitting the number 40 because I think it helps to just with the weight maintenance and it helps with my immune system. At this point, we're heading into fall, and with the scare of the virus, there's a lot of people who want to protect their immune system, boost and strengthen their immune system. This is a great way to check and see if you're kind of getting into that range to do that. So 20 and below is where you would be working on a much more serious condition. This needs to be done with a physician. So that's really important to know. This is the number that Dr. Boz was trying to get to with her mother in helping to heal her cancer. And she did it. And she talks about this in her book, and she talks about this in her videos. So she's actually on YouTube also, so you can check her out there as well. One thing I want to state is just that keto is not the same as ketoacidosis. There are doctors who even think at first hearing the word keto, they will think ketoacidosis. Why? Well, that's what they were trained on in med school. And this is what happens with type 1 diabetics. And to get to this place, which is a devastating place, it's very, very dangerous. But to get there, your ketones would have to be above 15. And mine have never been above 3. I haven't had a ketone reading yet above 3. And the optimal range for ketones supposedly is 1.5 to 3. That's pretty much where I am all of the time. I've never been above 3, and I'm typically somewhere in there unless I do an early morning check. Sometimes I can be under 1.5, but typically I'm in that range solidly all the time. So, so you're talking about with ketoacidosis, a dangerous situation with really high glucose and ketone numbers. This is not what keto is about. This is what happens with type 1 diabetics who aren't taking their insulin, or aren't taking the right amount of insulin. So that's what ketoacidosis is. The last thing I want to talk about is just keto adaptation. It takes a while for your body to, first of all, produce ketones, and second of all, to utilize them. There's a lot of enzymic action that has to occur for the conversion to fuel source, from fat to a fuel source in the terms of ketones. So this can take anywhere, I would say on average, what I hear is it takes about 3 weeks. It can happen sooner. If you're pretty metabolically stable, it could definitely happen even sooner. But if you're not, and you've been eating a standard American diet, you're looking at about 3 weeks. And if you've had a serious condition, if you have a pretty serious diagnosis, or you've had one, it's probably going to take longer. And it really depends too on how much insulin resistance you have. It's just going to take more time to get into there, and that can be very frustrating. But measuring here can kind of help you. I have to say, one reason why I do it is I find it very motivating. I find it motivating to try to achieve those numbers, good numbers, while doing this way of eating. I also find it just very encouraging to know that my blood chemistry is good, and I just love that affirmation, that confirmation that I get from doing these checks. So I just want to say thank you so much for watching today, for checking into this video. If you are really curious on how your blood chemistry is, how well you're maintaining your insulin levels and keeping those in a good range, this is a great thing to do. So anyway, thanks again, and I will see you in the